Here we go. Yes, we're doing the winners V, the victory pose. That's how we're starting out every edition of You've Been Through Too Much to Be Average now. The winner's pose, the victory pose, the winner's V, as they call it. It's a way to get your subconscious believing that you've already won. So before you go into a high stakes situation, you stand up, you have your hands up like people hold up their belts when they win a match, or people, heroes put their hands up. So when you put your hands up in the winner's V, it gives you that adrenaline rush. It releases those endorphins as if you've already won. So the winner's V is how we're starting out every edition of You've Been Through Too Much to Be Average. And welcome. Thank you for coming to You've Been Through Too Much to Be Average. And tonight we're going to talk about Green Lives Matter. When the only time that black really matters. I'm not saying black lives. I'm okay. I'm good with the movement. I realize that some things shouldn't be done. Some things need to be handled and people need to be addressed and taken care of because some things are absolutely wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that green lives matter. And I'll tell you what green lives mean in a minute. But the only time black really matters, not black lives, but the only time black really matters, we'll get into that. But really, the only time black really matters is when you're talking about people who are black-hearted. Black-hearted. Of course, if you've seen the movie New Jack City, and somebody says, I can't remember if it was one of Nino Brown, who's the main character in the movie, the drug kingpin, who was played by Wesley Snipes. If you saw the movie New Jack City, I can't remember if it was one of his organization workers who he exiled, or if it was somebody else like Ice-T, the cop who was trying to bring him down. But he said, Nino, I hope they kill your black-hearted assets, right? I hope they kill your black. And so black-hearted is when you pretty much don't care about anybody but yourself. It's by any means necessary. And guess what? There are black people like that. There are Asian people like that. There are white people like that. So the only time black really matters is when we're talking about black-hearted, because out of your heart are the issues of life. Out of your heart determines how you're going to deal with people. It's going to determine your influence in the world. So the only time black really matters, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about black lives. The Black Lives Matter campaign is great as long as you're doing things that need to be done to affect change. If you're actually voting and you're actually putting together programs to help your community, and you're actually putting together programs and getting before the right people, not just doing senseless rioting and fighting. And you know what? This movement came about it was a perfect storm. It was a time when a lot of people who are known to be emotional anyway, and I'm not talking about just black people, but certain groups of people spend too much time on emotionalism. And I'm talking about the cops as well as the people in the streets. Many people have been pinned up because of this quarantine, this stay-at-home thing, and so people had pent-up aggression. The reports showed that are still showing that domestic violence is going up, drug abuse is going up, violence is going up because people were locked in a box. People were stuck in places where they did not want to be. You have divorces going up because people were cheating and they can't get around their other person they were cheating with, their other woman, their other man, and so domestic violence is going up, just regular violence going up, drug abuse is going up, and so this not the Black Lives Matter, this I Can't Breathe thing came around what evoked the the I Can't Breathe thing is with the cop, putting his foot on the guy's neck, his knee on the guy's neck. That's a part also of people being frustrated, people not knowing how to handle their emotions. That could have been a result of somebody being in the house or being nervous about losing their job or whatever. And then all these people in the streets, same thing. You have some people, all they're about is the next cause. They don't really care about, black rights or white rights or whatever. They're just about being unruly and getting something, just getting out in the street and letting emotion go because you're caught up in emotions. Hey, Willie, attaboy. And so tonight I want to talk about the only time black really matters. Not black lives, but the only time the color black really matters. And really, I'm not black. I'm brown. As a matter of fact, I'm a pretty color brown. I'm brown. I'm African American. And so there was a thing I remember at Spelman College when I went to Spelman for undergraduate. I remember I think it was African diaspora in the world, or it may have been African American literature, when it talked about how you look up black in the dictionary and, it's all these bad words and it's all these bad slogans with black, like the black market, or when you get blacklisted. Hey, Miss the Atta Girl, you get blacklisted. That's blackballed. All those are negative. And the word black in the dictionary was listed as, dirty, evil, dark, and that kind of thing. And then you look at the color white, and it's pure, innocent, and that kind of thing. And so, the author, I can't remember who it was, but I definitely know I learned it at Spelman College. But it talked about, the psychology of that, and also that's another reason why I refer to myself as African American. And people say, well, you're not African American, you're not from Africa. My ancestors are from Africa, but I grew up in America. I'm from America, so African American rather than Black. So I'm not talking about Black lives, I'm talking about the color Black. And the reason why I had to get into this tonight, I want to let you know I am not a thermometer. I'm a thermostat. I change the environment where I go. Okay, I'm blessed to do that, and you should do the same as well. And so I'm not speaking on the topic because everybody has something to say. I'm speaking on the topic because God says, listen, this is an opportunity. This is what I like to call teachable truths. Okay, as teachers, we say teachable moments, but I got a different little spin on it. A teachable truth. This is something you can teach from what's going on now, Victoria. So I'm grateful to God for that, because I'm putting a little different twist on it. The only time Black matters, because I'm not Black, I'm brown, I'm African American. And so when you say that Black means dirty and soiled and it means dark, and that's in the dictionary, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not Black, I'm brown. White people aren't white. They're, as little babies say, they're peach, right? They're pink. And so we're not getting that language tonight. But when I say Black, when I'm talking about Black, I'm talking about really the color Black or dark and evil. When I say the only time Black matters is if when you're dealing with somebody with a Black soul, with a Black heart, okay? And like I said, a teachable truth. That's right, Henry Carl Attaboy. In the movie, New Jack City, somebody said, I hope they kill your Black-hearted assets, right? Of course, they didn't say assets, but Black-hearted are individuals who are dark, who don't care about anybody but themselves. You have people who are evil by nature. You have people who are brought up to be evil, people who are taught to be evil, and then you have people who just go into it because it's something that they want to do. And so you have people, I couldn't believe it years and years ago when I saw some movies and saw some things, and I better understood the Ku Klux Klan. And these people actually say, in the Aryan Nation, they say that they're led of God, that God told them to purify the earth for the pure Aryan people, the white people. And they believe that they're doing things in the name of God. That's Black-hearted. You have Black people, you have white people, you have Indian people, Asian people. Well, Indian would be an Asian. You have all types of people who are Black-hearted. And that's the only time it really matters, when you're dealing with somebody who's Black-hearted. You need to stay away from that, because there are pure, wonderful, I have some white friends. I know some people who are very wealthy, very well-to-do, and they're not biased, they're not prejudiced, they're all about helping people. When I say green lives matter, I'm not just talking about money. I'm not just saying that it's money. Green means growth, okay? Green is my maiden name. Green is my favorite color, because green means growth. When you see a field, you see grass growing, it's a plush green. You see vegetation, it's green. So green lives, when you're growing and you're producing and you're getting things done. And please, I'm gonna stop right now just for a commercial break. Please share this video, because like I said, I'm not a thermometer. I'm not being changed by what's going on. Everything I teach every week is about Black Lives Matter, and about us getting our weight up so that we can be respected and we can do for ourselves and we can be a part of society. And when I say us, I'm not just talking about Black people. I'm talking about people who came from nothing and want to have something. People who may be struggling, and I want you to get rid of that word struggling. You say you had challenges, right? So I teach you all the time about attaboy, attagirl being allergic to the average, right? I give you that attaboy, attagirl when you get on here, because I want to give you that pat on the back, because you are achieving triumph through anything by becoming allergic to the average. When you get on here, you actually have an opportunity to level up at least 3 times. Anytime you see me on a broadcast, a book I produce, anytime I have a program, my programs that are online, you have the opportunity to level your life up at least 3 times. And I'm not bragging. That's the gift of teaching and learning that God has given to me. And so when I say green lives matter, green lives, people who are producing, people who are making things happen, people who can help other people. It doesn't matter what color you are, unless you are Black-hearted, okay? I'm not talking about the color of your skin and what people identify you as, because like I said, we're not Black, we're brown. White people aren't white, they're peach, they're pink, right? And so the only time Black matters is when you're dealing with Black-hearted people. And you have some Black-hearted people that may be in your family. You have some Black-hearted people that you may work with. You have some Black-hearted people that may go to church with you, believe it or not. And so, yes, one of the main reasons I want to address this is because a guy that I admire him pretty much. I had a lot of respect for him. I've lost some, but I still respect him. I learned a lot of things from him. But he was actually married into my family, and he came to visit. And we were talking about going to church, and I was telling him about this, and this, and somehow it came up that my pastor is white, okay? And so for those of you who don't know, my pastor is Peach, okay? He's Caucasian, right? And so he said to me, and like I said, this is a guy I respect a lot, very accomplished guy, very smart. He's actually a minister, a chaplain, and so he's like, Victoria, what white man do you have leading you? Like, let's go. I want to see this guy, whatever, okay? And it was kind of, well, he didn't say he wanted to go to church. As a matter of fact, he kind of made it known that he didn't want to go, but he was like, what white man you got leading you? Okay. And that was years ago. And of course it didn't really faze me because I know who I am. I'm confident in my convictions. Right. And so, but later on, like a week or two ago, I saw a friend of mine, and he was like, I saw him in passing. Actually, we were working out, and I saw him, and he was like, yeah, you go to. I'm gonna send you something. I want you to, tell me what you think about it, what you respond to it, because, you go to a church that's multiracial, whatever. You go to a church, whatever. And so basically, I was like, yeah, I go to a church that the pastor's white, my assistant pastor's black, the head pastor's white, right? And so he sent it to him, and it was about people saying, listen, during this time, it was prophesied that things are going to be upset and things are going to be turned around, and white preachers are going to be exposed. A lot of white preachers are really racist in disguise, and they're they have these plots and plans, and that a lot of black people who follow them are going to leave and go to white churches. And they said also a lot of white people are going to go to black leaders because the true hearts of men will be revealed. And so once again, people have an issue with, me being a teacher and educator, to have people that I lead and feed, and to say, listen, you have a white pastor, what's up with that, this and that. And so I don't have a lot of white friends. I have some associates. I don't have many. I'm saying I have some associates. I have people I work with. I have people that I'm on boards with, people who I'm in organizations with. And guess what? The only time that black matters is when you're talking about black-hearted. There are black-hearted people that means you have your own agenda. You don't care who you hurt, who you kill. It's all about what you want, okay? And some of you all know one of those people quite well, okay? It doesn't matter if you're leading people or you're supposed to be serving millions of people or a nation of people. It's all about what you want. So the only time black really matters is when we're not black lives, but when the color black matters is when you're talking about black-hearted. My pastor is probably one of the nicest, most loving, most caring, most considerate people I have ever met, and he's an older white male, okay, and he came from one of the probably most racist places in the nation, probably if not the world, Alabama. And so I don't know if, the person who sent this video to me, he's a friend of mine. He was like, yeah, I want to know what you think because you go to a white church, this and this. And one of the lines in there said that a lot of white pastors who lead multicultural churches or biracial churches, they're actually in disguise. They're racist in disguise. So I don't know if he was trying to test me to see if, I've been bamboozled or hoodwinked. But really, I know that the only time black matters when it comes to people, not black lives. Don't get it twisted. Black lives matter. I'm all for the campaign if you're doing it the right way, if you're doing things that matter, if you're talking about economic freedom, economic empowerment, if you're talking about voting, if you're talking about working on the education system and the disparities there, I'm all for that, okay? I'm all about doing things that matter and not just jumping in the streets, hollering and fighting and doing stupid stuff just because you can, because you think this is the moment and you're an opportunist. And so you're a druggie or you're lazy, you're this, and this, and this is an opportune time for you to get out there and be a part of the next movement because you don't have a lot going on in your life. I'm not with that. I am for the Black Lives Matter, but that's not what I'm talking about. The only time that the color black matter, as the color black matters, is when you're talking about people with black hearts, people with black souls. They're dark. They have really no agenda but to do the agenda of the enemy. Okay. Green lives matter to me. Green lives. And I'm not talking because my maiden name is Green. I'm not talking about money. Okay. Money is a part of it, but green means you're growing. Green means fertility. Green means that you're fertile, you're producing. Okay. How many people know out there? And type it in there if you know in the comments. Okay. And please share this video. Please share this video. I'm asking you to please share the video. All right. How many people know that if you're in the same spot this year as you were last year this time, despite all the COVID-19 and the I Can't Breathe movement and Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, despite all that, God doesn't want any excuses. He has given us the ability to be evergreen, to thrive in no matter the situation, to achieve triumph through anything, right? Be allergic to the average. God has given us that as his people. So if you didn't know, I'm here to tell you tonight. All right. And now you're accountable for it because you know it. If you're in the same place you were last year, financially, you're the same place you were last year this time, emotionally, the same place you were last year this time, relationally, okay, the same place you were this time last year physically, then guess what? You're not honoring God. And I talked about this a few weeks ago. When we're talking about God is upset at you because you're making a bad name for him by acting as though he doesn't provide for his children and prosper his children. We talked about that a few weeks ago. I'm going to talk about it more next week when we're talking about Imago Dei. Okay, but if you're in the same place and you're not growing, that's not a green life. Okay, so green lives matter. Green lives matter to God. Green lives matter to other people. And so much so that there are people who are very wealthy, who are, you know, the racist color. Not all white people are racist. Not all Indian people are this. Not all Asian people. And so, yes, my pastor is white, and like I said, the most loving pastor I have ever known. Okay, he's the most I guess sensitive pastor that I've known as it relates to being sensitive to the needs of his people. The very second time I entered that church, he knew my name. He came to me and spoke to me because he made that a point. And the church is pretty big. Okay, congregation is pretty full, but because he did his research and he has a heart to get to know people, and he's going to promote your gift. And I'm not saying just because I'm a writer, I'm a teacher, and I'm releasing things, but people in our church who are musicians, people in our church who are authors, people who visit, he's like, listen, I need you to have a book signing. I need you to do a special presentation at church with your music or whatever. And I need everybody in the congregation to make sure that, you know, if you're selling a CD, make sure that she leaves with no CDs. Make sure that he leaves with no books, because he does not have a black heart. It's all about green lives matter. That when you produce, you're able to help other people. When you're a producer and not just a consumer. Listen, I'll go back to New Jack City's quote in a minute, okay? They said, Nino, I hope they kill your black-hearted assets, right? Your black-hearted, right? Because Nino said, listen, I don't care that I'm ripping apart families. I don't care that, you know, their babies crying in the street and this crack thing is taking over. He was like, listen, I'm living the best life I've ever lived before, and it's at other people's expense, but I don't care. That's black-hearted. There are black people I know like that. There are black people I know like that in my family. Black people I know like that in organizations. I know people who go to church with me or on certain boards with me. They fight for a certain cause, they do whatever, and they will walk right out the door and not speak to you. They'll see you in the community and not speak to you. But then I also know people who have a great heart. All they want to do is help people. Okay, white, black, green, yellow. They want to help people. And listen, I say this quote all the time. I love this quote right here that somebody gave me some years ago. It said, the best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. So yes, Black Lives Matter, but when you're talking about Black Lives Matter, how much do they matter to you? Is it just about you getting up, putting long posts on Facebook and starting little rallies and doing silly stuff and getting attention for yourself to say you're doing something, or are you actually doing something and it will show that you're doing something? Are you talking about it, or are you going to be about it? Okay, are you going to run your mouth, as my dad used to say, or are you going to run your business? And so that you can't do both. Okay, most of the times you can't do both. You don't have the energy. And we talked last week about misusing your energy. When you use your energy the wrong way, it's almost impossible for you to, well, it's impossible for you to be as great as God wants you to be in whatever it is you do. Okay, so green lives matter. God wants to see you growing. If you are not better this year than you were this time last year, if you're not better off in any situation of your life, that's not godly. Okay, it's not a green life. You're not producing, and God has given us the ability to be evergreen. Just like, listen, there's Laura Spelman Rockefeller, right? And Abby Aldrich Rockefeller. These ladies married into the Rockefeller family. One of them, Laura Spelman, she married John D. Rockefeller, the famous oil tycoon, one of the wealthiest people to ever live, right? Rockefeller Center, Rockefeller Library, all this stuff is named after him. A lot of institutions he started. Light gave money to start my alma mater, okay, my alma mater, which stands for Nurturing Mother, okay? Spelman College, who is a great part of the reason I am who I am today. And a lot of powerful women that are in this earth today, a lot of them can attribute that to Spelman. But guess what? So a white man, okay, a wealthy white man, had to give some money to get that started, okay, or to expand it. And his wife, Laura Spelman Rockefeller, and then Abby Aldrich Rockefeller, later on married the son, married John D. Rockefeller Jr. And guess what? I stayed in Abby Aldrich Rockefeller dorm. I stayed in Abby my first year, okay. And of course, you know, if anybody on here went to Spelman, or you see it later, there's always a competition between the freshman dorms. Well, I stayed in Abby, right? Abby, named after Abby Aldrich Rockefeller, okay, and Laura Spelman Rockefeller. These women gave money to make sure that Black women could be educated and educated well. Now, Spelman is one of the most prestigious institutions of learning in the nation. I'm not just saying because I went, but if you look in the African American schools, it's number one. It's always number one. Sometimes it gets knocked down to number two. Howard's up there. It's usually between Howard and Spelman for number two, or Morehouse 1, 2, and 3, right? But most of the time, Spelman is at the top. I'm not just saying it because, that's me, that's my home. But guess what? That institution of excellence that produces women leaders in the world came about because a white man, a white family, a lot of white families gave money to make sure that African Americans could have quality education. Okay, that's why Green Lives Matter. You cannot help people just being emotional, ranting and raving, getting mad. Oh, they got your foot on my neck. I'm not saying that when you've been wrong, you don't go to court, you don't vote, you don't do this kind of stuff. I'm saying when you're using all this energy, make sure it matters. Okay. Certain people only understand one color. It's not black, it's not white, it's green. And I said that from the beginning about President Trump. He likes green, okay? He really does. There were a lot of people, racist people, black-hearted people, you know what I'm saying, that ignorant people, low-income people that, follow him just because he was white, and they're white racists. But of course, he doesn't really care about that class of people. All Trump cares about is himself, as in, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that big business is on top because I own big business and I have friends in big business. I will make sure that big business wins. As people were saying that, yes, some people got what the 1,200 or 2,400 or whatever the stimulus was, but they were saying that the wealthiest people got trillions of dollars, okay? And some of it is rightfully so, because if you're adding that much value to the world, the government awards you for that. But some of it is just because of the system of, wealthy people are on top. The leader of the country is a wealthy person, has a mindset for wealthy people, has a heart for wealthy people. And it's like whoever gets crushed along the way, let them get crushed. It's a blessing that some of those people are Rockefellers. Some of those people are Gates. Some of those people are Buffett. Some of those people say, listen, I have to be great so that I can add greatness to the world. It's not just about me. Most of those people I just named, they never ever were chasing money. They were never pursuing money. I talk about language all the time. If they're chasing it, first of all, that's bad. So if you're saying you're chasing your dreams, stop. You're pursuing your dreams. Chasing implies that it's running away from you, okay? So say that you're pursuing your dreams or you're following after your dreams. Don't say you're chasing. But none of these people were pursuing money, okay? Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Rockefeller, Oprah, all these people, Tyler Perry said, I just want to give my gift to the world. I just want to help a lot of people. And that's my cry now. Imago Dei, okay? I don't want to jump ahead of myself. We're going to talk about Imago Dei next week. But really, it's the image of God. I just want to be like God, to be so powerful and have so much weight that when I'm around, I'm going to help people level up at least 3, okay? At least 3 levels. One for the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. At least 3 levels. Now, a lot of times it's a lot more than that. And I thank you all for being on here. And I thank you for sharing this. So please hit the share button now so that you can help somebody. You're planting a seed when you say this is some good stuff and you share. So the only time that black really matters, okay, is when you're talking about black-hearted individuals. I said this maybe last week, it may have been the week before, that there's a thing that goes out and says, listen, there's a slogan or an old proverb that says it's a no-no to go in business with your family and many times your friends. I don't believe that. I believe you don't go in business with black-hearted people. You don't go in, and they don't even have to be totally black-hearted, because black-hearted just means you sold your soul to the devil. You don't care about anything whatsoever. But anything that God dislikes, if that person is caught up in that, you don't want to go into business with them. So I say go into business with a good person in your family. Go into business with a good friend. I don't believe in that thing, and that's why I'm allergic to the average. The average person says, oh, you know what they say, don't go into business with your family. Don't go into business with your friends. No, scratch that. Don't go into business with black-hearted people. That's the only time black matters. Okay, my pastor is white, loving pastor. For both of my children when they were born, came to the hospital. He said the associate pastor the second time. I don't think but my first child, he came to the hospital. When we got home, listen, we sent over we want to take you all to dinner. We know it's, your first child, you and Patrick, this is going on. We want you to have dinner on the church. We want you to call and order something. We'll keep the tab. Anytime. I had an event shortly after I got at the church. Okay, and this may be putting you up on some game to help your pastor, or if you're a pastor. Okay, the second time I entered the church, I told you he knew my name, because you fill out the little visitor's card. He does his research. He looks around. He's very cognizant, very vigilant and sober, and he has a heart to connect with people, to serve with people. The second time I visited the church, okay, and I'll give you a little clue in a minute. But the second time I visited the church, he came and spoke to me and looked in my eyes and shook my hand and said, "Thank you for coming, Victoria." Spoke to me by name in a large congregation. Never seen anything like it before in my life in a church. I have direct access to him. It's not because I'm a leader in the church. It's not because a few months after we joined, my wife and I, we want to take you out so we can get to know you better. When we have a child, he's at the hospital. He's the associate pastor's at the hospital, which he's a black. But black, the only time black matters with me is when you're black-hearted, because there are black people who hate you. There are black people who hate other black people because, and listen, you hear me say this all the time. I'm not placing any blame. I'm placing blame if you stay there. But some people, all people do the best they can with what they have at a given time. Okay, I heard that a while, and it's not giving people off the hook, but it just helps you to deal with things better. All people do the best they can with what they have at a given time. And because some black people have been wounded, because some white people have been wounded, because some Asian people have been wounded, hurt people. That's all they have to give to you. So listen, you know how, and this is a little clue, a little hint. Yes, my pastor's white, okay? But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to leave it there. You read between the lines, okay? You really don't have to read between the lines. I've seen, when I taught high school, okay, and it's not just in the high school, but I saw it more so in the high school. This is when it first caught my eye. When you have young women who are beautiful, attractive women, young women, got things going for themselves, the guys like them, whatever, and then you see them and they're in same-sex relationships. A lot of times, I saw it there, and then I saw it also with celebrities, and I saw it with older women, that a lot of times women, these young girls were turning to other women because they had been wounded so much by men. Okay, they had been hurt and disappointed so much by men, whether it's men they were in relationships with, or as in romantic relationships or sexual relationships, their fathers, their uncles, because they were hurt so much by men and they felt like a man couldn't understand them or a man didn't care for them, then they turned to same-sex relationships. So yes, my pastor's white. I'll leave it there. Okay, I'll leave it there. But I don't care. It's not that I don't have a lot of white friends. I don't try to act white. I went to a black school, a black college. I serve mostly black people. I'm gonna say that not by choice, but a lot of times it's by default. But yes, I have people who I lead and feed who are white. Yes, I have associates who are white. Yes, I have some friends who are white. Yes, I have people who would do for me before my family would or could. I have people who have made things happen for me who are white, who are peach, as I say, because nobody's white, nobody's black, who are peach, who are Caucasian, who are pink, right? Who have done that for me. And I say this, the only time that black matters to me when it comes to, not Black Lives, not this movement, but when it comes to your choice of people, the only time that black matters is when you're talking about black-hearted individuals, people who are evil from the inside out, people who don't have any agenda but to hurt other people. They have malicious intent. They're lazy. They're excuse making. They're the opposite of green lights. Okay, when something turns black, okay, the blood is dead in there. It's dead, right? Green lives matter. When you're producing, God says, "You're my child. You look like me. Imago Dei. You are an image of me. You're doing things to help other people." Listen. Abby Aldridge Rockefeller. Okay, shout out to everybody who stayed in Abby dorm freshman year at Spelman. Okay, shout out to Laura Spelman. Okay, these ladies didn't found Spelman, but when it started to turn into Spelman after the Black Women's Christian College started, these women gave money, but you know how they got it? Because one of the richest men to ever live, a white man who had good intent, who made money to help other people, who wanted to add value to the world, okay, when he had money to give to his daughter-in-law and his wife, they gave it or he gave it, and then they gave as well in philanthropy so that I could be a product of Spelman College, right? And so you can talk all day and spend all this energy talking about, you shouldn't have a black pastor and how dare you have a black pastor. But I don't call people out when they have pastors who are openly living in sin, or pastors who are openly, and everyone in the congregation is steadily struggling and in the same place or worse off than they were last year this time, or they're going backwards. So they have all this kind of, a stench of this kind of foolishness going on over them where they cannot produce because I don't call people on that. What I do, and like I said, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I'm not speaking on that. What I'm speaking on is green lives matter. Okay, Black Lives Matter, protest and do it in a right way. Not protest at the polls, protest in the boardroom, protest in your bank account, and make your own and produce your own so that people who don't respect you, you don't have to deal with them. But guess what? You can say Black Lives Matter and you want to protest, but every day that you eat, every day you wear clothing, every day you go out of your house, you drive, you're saying that white lives matter, because most people who own that stuff are white people. And guess what? Sometimes they hate you, sometimes they don't. Or, well, excuse me, some of them hate you and some of them are very philanthropic, very beautiful in the inside. Some of the wealthiest people I've met, white wealthy people, had genuine hearts, would do for me before anybody else I know, black, white, green, family, blood, whatever it would do for me, because they could, and also because they understood the concept of giving and receiving and the principles of wealth. And so when I say, when people say, well, how can you have a black, like I said, this guy asked me, and like I said, I respect this guy. I've known him for years. He's taught me a lot of things. He said, what did you say? Your pastor's white. What white man you got leading you? Okay, and then I've heard some people say, well, I could never follow, and most of this is black men, but I've heard what black women say it as well. I could never follow a white pastor. I could never be under a white pastor because a white pastor doesn't know my struggles as a black woman or as a black man. A white pastor doesn't understand my pain. Well, listen, this is what I have to say to that. First and foremost, okay, I have family members who don't understand my challenges. I'm not going to say struggles because that means I'm getting kind of beat. I have family members who don't understand my challenges. I have associates who don't understand my challenges. I have colleagues who don't understand my challenges. There are people all around you. So don't say that you just can't connect because a white person can't understand that I shouldn't, or I'm wrong, or something's out of whack because a white person could never understand the challenges and the trials and struggles of a black person. Not true, because really the main trials that we have are human trials. And this is the second thing. I don't spend my time talking about problems. I want to talk about the solution. You heard me talk about this before, about the different kind of prayer, how a lot of times we spend in prayer, we talk too much about we're casting out things and calling out things. And so our prayer is filled with negative words. We're putting negative energy into the world. We're giving life to all these diseases and all these mishaps because that's all we speak rather than speaking the solution. And rather than speaking healing, health, and life, we're casting down all these diseases. And guess what? The enemy is saying, yes, keep calling my name. Keep giving me energy in the universe by saying that. And so, no, I don't need a white pastor to understand my not struggles, my challenges, because one, I don't want to talk about the challenges. I want to talk about the solutions. Okay. We talked last week again about using your energy in the wrong way. We'll talk somewhat about it, about the image of God, Imago Dei, next week, but we talk too much about the problem and not the problem solver. And so that doesn't work for me, for you to say, well, a white man could never understand your challenges. Okay, a white man could never understand your struggles. So what is it that you can see, in a white pastor? Well, first of all, I'm not trying to understand challenges and struggles. I am getting over them. I'm surmounting them. I'm talking about solutions rather than problems. Okay, and so yes, my pastor is white. And listen, we put a lot of times too much energy. I talked about this before. I don't know if it was last week or the week, another week before, when I say we spend so much time saying, oh, don't say the F word around my child. Don't say SHIT around my child. Don't say this. But really, those words mean nothing. Those words mean nothing in other countries. But when you say words like can't, don't, poor, broke, try, and all that kind of stuff, those are words that mean something in every language, and they mean the same thing. And it's really blasphemous, because you're living less than what God called you to live. And so really, when you talk about, well, a white pastor can't understand my struggles and that kind of stuff, well, guess what? I have people all around me every day who look just like me, who come from the same place I come, who go to the same place I do sometimes, and don't understand my challenges because they don't understand my walk. They don't understand my gifting. They don't understand my mindset. And yes, I'm teaching people the mindset. One of my favorite slogans, how I open up all of my keynote speeches, is this: as a girl, I saw things that no child should ever see. But as a woman, God has blessed me to see things that most people would never see. Not will never see, would never see. They would never see them unless I show them. And so that's why I have the Better Than Average Makeover Mindset course. That's why I have the Better Than Average book. And I'm looking for my book. I didn't have a copy over here by me today. But that's why I have that, because it's really not about who's black, white, yellow, and green. It's about green lives, people who are producing and getting things done. And so I'm not focusing on that. And So that's the three reasons that when somebody says, well, I can't follow a white pastor, or I can't be under a white pastor because they don't understand the struggles of the black person. One thing is they're not struggles. Watch your language. It's a challenge, okay? Something you can't overcome. If I'm struggling with something, that means it's weighing on me, okay? But so no, that's the first thing. Second thing is I have people all around me who look just like me. Some of them have the same bloodline as me. Some of them have whatever. They don't understand me. They don't understand that. And so you're not, when you're on a different level, when you're allergic to the average, right? When you're better than average, allergic to the average, people are not going to understand you all the time, okay? People are not going to be able to relate to you all the time. And so guess what? If you say a white pastor can't understand you, there are some black people who don't understand you if you're going somewhere, okay? There are some people who are just like you, maybe sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, co-workers who are not going to understand you when you're allergic to the average and better than average. Matter of fact, let me grab my book, guys. Let me grab my book. Sorry about that. Thanks, guys. I lost two people. Please share the video, and thanks for staying. For those who stay, at a boy, at a girl. But that's why I teach better than average. That's why that was the title of my fourth book. That's why I have the better than average 4-week mindset makeover course. That's a virtual training. I give you directives because you have to think differently. Okay, it's not about black. It's not about who's black and who's white. The only time that black matters is when you're talking about black-hearted individuals, and you don't want them around you anyway. Okay, and so like I said, and I don't call people on, and I don't ask people, how could you follow a pastor that's openly, doing this, and this around town, and people know this, or how do you follow a pastor that is living the luxurious life and most of the members are still struggling? And now struggling is the right word here. They're not challenged, they're struggling. Okay, and guess what? This is what I learned. Nothing has meaning except for the meaning I give it. Okay, and I want you to say it too. Nothing has meaning except for the meaning you give it. Okay, so type that in the comments, write it somewhere, put it in your journal. I want you to say it to yourself now. I'm gonna give you a second to say it. Nothing has meaning except for the meaning I give it. Okay, so you can look around and listen at all the free opinions, and you guys know free is usually the most expensive. Everybody has free opinions. Everybody wants to tell you how to live your own life. Okay, but I know that Imago Dei, in the image of God. I'm led of God. I know where I was led. I know what leadership I am. And like I said, when you can sit under a black man with a black heart, or a brown man, which is Indian, whatever, with a black heart, that's when you have an issue. When you're not seeing growth. Black lives are green lives are what matters. Green lives, people who are producing. You can see that they don't have, as that great book says that some people have a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. They might try to look like God. They kind of, imitate him a little bit. But when it's time for power to come out, when you see if your church is growing, if your church is doing anything outside the walls, how far is your reach? How far is the span of your reach? How many people can you help? How do you connect when your members are going through? And like I said, every time I was in the hospital, my church was there. My pastor they're looking at me when the baby was born. What can we do for you? Not just doing what can we do for you, because a lot of times people ask you that because they know you're not going to say anything. Just taking the initiative and saying, listen, I sent this for you all. Hey, listen, the meal's on us because we know y'all are tired. Y'all have a new baby, this, and this. Just having love. Listen, anytime there's a gift, I'm not intimidated by your gift. I realize true leadership is when you surround yourself with super strong and super talented people. And like I said, people do the best they can with what they have at a given time. So other leaders and other people who have that issue, who, I cannot sit under, that I cannot work with because there's a level that this going on and that going on. Listen. Think about Moses, okay? Moses, when he was saved, at that time they were killing, okay? They were killing all of the babies of the Hebrew women, right? They were killing them, all right? And the midwives had to tell a lie and say, listen, we can't say that you're supposed to kill the boys when they you're supposed to kill the boys and save the girls, all right? And that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, okay? A lot of this stuff, a lot of the black-heartedness is about killing the men in certain races and certain classes of people. But we have to you got to pray for the midwives, okay? You got to pray for those people who are in positions to make sure that these wounded, the scars that black men face, the scars that even white men, the scars that the men in the family, the people who come from a certain class of people. And that's what it was about. Not necessarily, black, white, green, yellow, but the people who are not producing. Okay, green lives matter. When you're not producing, you're not green, you're not representing God, right? And so we got to pray for the midwives. The midwife said, no, I'm going to save. They were keeping the sons. And Pharaoh said, why are you letting these women? He said, listen, the Hebrew women are so strong and so powerful. Before we even get there to get the baby and try to kill the baby, they've already given birth. So we can't do that. So they lied because they were trying to aid and make sure that that the Hebrew sons made it. And so that's what we have to do. We have to get in a position, get our weight up, make sure you're praying and discerning, you're following the right people, because you can be following a black person, and the black person is just as black-hearted as Nino Brown. All right. And it's not going to do, it's all about their agenda. You can be following a white person that's black-hearted, that says, I don't care. The KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, believe they're doing what they're doing in the name of God. Hold on just a minute. Thank you for your patience. I had a little issue. Thank you for your patience. I see I never lost it, but I want you to remember this and know this. The only time black matters. Don't get me wrong, because somebody's going to get it twisted and try to, I'm not talking about black lives. The only time that black matters, when you're talking about, okay, your pastor's white, or this, you got white friends, or you in this white organization, is when the only time black matters is if you're dealing with black-hearted people who don't have an intent to grow. When the blood dies and the blood leaves about something, it turns black, right? When you're flourishing and you're growing, you're producing, you're green. Green lives is what matters to God, okay? You cannot help poor people, broke people, if you're a part of them. You cannot help wounded, scarred people if you're a part of them. And so a lot of stuff that's going on is because there are wounded, scarred people, okay? These are black people, white people, or I could say brown, peach people, because black people were really brown, okay? So these African-American people, Asian, Caucasian, you cannot, okay? Listen. Henry Louis Gates Jr., if you don't know Henry Louis Gates Jr., all right? Look him up. You're going to learn something tonight. Very, very, very prestigious scholar and researcher and author and film producer, okay? African-American. He is like one of the epitomes of African-American excellence and intelligence, right? He is an African-American man, but he went to both Cambridge and Yale. He graduated from Cambridge and Yale, so he has a real Ivy League education, just like the Obamas, right? And so he's all about a bunch of the documentaries that you've seen on African Americans, some of the movies, all this stuff is because of him, Henry Louis Gates Jr. If you don't know Henry Louis Gates Jr., look him up. And you probably know him if you don't, because of some drama that happened a few years ago when he was at, I think, Harvard, trying to get into his house, the property that he has a house on the campus of Harvard or in Cambridge. And so, because he teaches there, and because he's over the African American studies there, and the cops arrested him, or I don't know if they actually arrested him, they were trying to, but I think they did arrest him because they thought he was breaking in, because this is Cambridge, well-to-do neighborhood. It may be on Harvard's campus, but if not, it's very close. Excuse me. Let me take a hydration break while I'm doing this. Share this and like it, okay? Put some comments in. Tell me if you know Henry Louis Gates Jr. If you don't, you need to look him up. I'm going to take a hydration break. I'll be right back with you shortly. All right, so Henry Louis Gates Jr., like I said, he is the exemplar for African-American intelligence, African-American affluence, he's just powerful. He has a lot of works about African-Americans and a lot of work that he's gotten done and accomplished. But he didn't go to an HBCU. He went to Cambridge and Yale. All right. And he teaches at Harvard. He had offers from Cornell and all these different places. But Henry Louis Gates Jr. is very powerful. Now, I can remember as a freshman at Spelman College, we had Freshman O, which is a class called Freshman Orientation. And as a part of passing Freshman O, you had to get, into the spirit of Spelman, the spirit of Black excellence, the spirit of Black education and, philanthropy, and the spirit of Black activism and that kind of thing. And so we were required, I think, either every other Thursday, at least one Thursday a month, to go to freshman convocation. And of course, and a lot of y'all remember Dr. Joyce Johnson. I think it's Joyce Johnson, the little light-skinned lady with the glasses and the long gray hair. She would play the piano. In case she's still there, they did a piece on her in the magazine a few months ago in the Spelman Messenger. But Henry Louis Gates Jr. came to speak to at our convocation. This was one of our mandatory convocations. He's very well known. Look him up. It probably costs a pretty penny to get him to speak if he comes to speak. I don't know if he does speaking, but he does great research. He has all these projects under his belt. Look him up. You'll learn something. Okay, learn something today. All right, so Henry Louis Gates Jr. came to speak at our convocation. Now, I don't know if it was because they just wanted him or because his daughter Elizabeth Gates was in my class. She was in the class of 2004. So Liz was there, but he came to speak, and it was crazy. I remember it because in the middle of the convocation, somebody towards the front middle jumped up and I don't know where it came from, but there was just an uproar. People would start jumping up, standing on the seats and everything. We're in Sister's Chapel. We're in a chapel, right? An old historic chapel, the chapel where Dr. M.L. King was, where he laid in state before they took his body, right? So this is very historic. This is the same chapel Martin Luther King Jr. laid in state before they took him to be buried, right? Right across the street from Morehouse. This is on our campus, Spelman's campus, in the historic Sister Chapel, right? And it may be, and so Henry Louis Gates came to speak to us. Please share this video, all right? And so it's freshman convocation. He's speaking to all these black women leaders, right? Us young women. It's our freshman year. It's 2000. He's speaking. And in the middle of that, something breaks out and people are hollering and screaming. Everybody's looking back. Everybody's jumping up on their seats. So I don't know if it was a rap or if it was one of those Malcolm X type things, like get your hand out of my pocket nigga type thing, where you're just trying to cause a disturbance. But this happened shortly after Henry Louis Gates introduced his wife, and she was white. Now, he's the epitome of black excellence, this, and he's all about African American studies and this, and this. But he introduces his wife, and some people may have already known that because they were friends with Liz, his daughter, who was in our class. And you can later on, you can look at Liz in hindsight. It's like, okay, you probably see that her mom was either white or Puerto Rican or something. But Henry Louis Gates Jr. stands up and introduces his wife before he starts to speak, and she's white. And shortly after that, something erupted. So I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it just happened at that time. I don't know if there was a mouse in there. I can't remember if they said it was a mouse or whatever, but I think it was kind of like a little ploy or some kind of, somebody speaking out or trying to, an outburst about his wife being white, and he's such the prominent black man. But really, in reality, is this: the only time black matters is when you're talking about black-hearted, when you're talking about people who are hateful, who are vengeful, who are malicious, who are slothful, meaning lazy, who always want something for nothing. They're not about helping the people advance. They just want to be out in the next riot, stealing things, looting, expressing all their pent-up emotions rather than dealing with them in a productive way. They've been in the house in quarantine, that kind of stuff. You do not want to deal with black-hearted people. That's it. It's okay to deal with black people. It's okay to deal with white people. I've dealt with them both. Like I said, I have black people who would spit on me and not help me if they could because they feel intimidated by me, because they want what I have, because they're afraid to step out on their own dreams, because they're afraid of, they're embarrassed because of who I am, which I don't know how that works. And then I have white people who would give me everything that I needed. One, because they could, and two, because they understand wealth. They understand the processes, the law of reciprocity, or the law of the harvest, the law of the harvest. You give and you receive. I keep saying, keep that wheel going. Every time you give, you make receiving come back around to you, because it's that wheel. You got to keep hitting it. You got to keep hitting it and keep it rolling. But that's why I wrote the Better Than Average book. That's why I started the Better Than Average Makeover Mindset course for people who have been taught. Some people have been taught all white people are this, all rich people are this, all black people are that, and that's all they know, until you recognize better and you say, listen, I can't do that. If God leads me to be under a white pastor, and a white pastor is a green pastor, meaning he's producing, the people who are connected to him produce. He has a productive anointing. If it's not a productive anointing, the opposite of producing, okay? The opposite of producing is death, is consuming, all right? And so if you have you're connected to people who are black-hearted, okay? Not black in their, as you identify their race, because we're not even black, we're brown and African American. But when you're black-hearted, meaning there's a veil over your heart, meaning everything you do is really ultimately to achieve evil, okay? Like I said, that's how you have people who can sell drugs and deal drugs. That's how you have people who can, step on your neck to get where they're going, or people who can have an opportunity to help you, to get you up the ladder, and they keep moving. And listen, let me tell you this. So black people, and I want to do something on this as well, because we're talking about now the whole movement, the campaign now, the Black Lives Matter, the I Can't Breathe thing is moving into, or has shifted into, build up the economic power in the black community. Go back to the Black Wall Street that got burned down, because that's black-hearted people. There are some people that says, listen, even if you work hard for it, even if you deserve it, I just can't stand to see you with it. That's black-hearted. You have some people, white and black, Asian, all these. There are some people that say, listen, certain races of people, certain people, and it doesn't even have to be certain races, just anybody who's not them, okay? They can't stand to see you with it. So they would burn down a thriving city, okay, just because we don't need you, okay? It hurts you to see us thriving and see us doing well. That's black-hearted. But listen, so the movement now is taking, which I like this, because like I said, I like if the movement is not just about, hollering and screaming and tearing up stuff, and you're actually getting some change done. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Black Lives Matter, the I Can't Breathe movement, as long as it's getting something done and it's not just emotionalism, because we're already caught up on too much emotionalism. That's why so many people broke, so many people addicted, so many people that if we were given reparations today, so many people that would make the wealthy people even wealthier by this time next year, because all you want to do is consume, but you never want to produce. You never want to invest in yourself so that you can have a green life, so that you can produce and create jobs for people. You can produce and spend money in your community, or you can produce and then make a place for your people to spend money. But everybody, when you have that black heart, it's all about consumption, it's death, and it's been taught to you. But listen, so I like the direction that the movement is taking, but I'm seeing so many comments of, oh, I'm trying to support black businesses so hard because they're this and they're that. And so I want to speak to that later, right? But the shift that it's taking is part of this new Black Lives Matter and this new protesting thing is like, listen, protest some businesses or whatever, hit them where it hurts, which is in their pocket, which is true. Okay, we're going to spend money with our own people, empower our own people, and that kind of thing. All right, but guess what? Here's a disempowering thing, a very ironic and paradoxical scenario that happens. You have black people. I know black people. Okay, I know black people who will say, just because you're not supporting my stuff, I won't support yours. And it could just be that I don't have a need or desire for your product. I'm not buying it from a white person. I'm not buying it from another person, but I just don't have the need for that. Okay. And so these people will say, just because you're not going to scratch my back, I'm not going to scratch yours. But here's the irony of that. Okay. Then you will go and spend your money with the majority business. You go and spend your money with a corporation or a larger business that's owned by the majority. You're owned by, someone else. And guess what? You don't know if they care for you or not. A lot of times there's a lot of racism, fascism, sexism, and a lot of black-heartedness and hate behind it. Look at how a lot of these companies act during a time of turmoil, when there's a time of when people need help, whether it's a natural disaster or if it's a civil thing that's going on right now. There are some people you would take your money away and not give the chance to me, not because I did you wrong. And yes, black business, I do say we got some shortfallings that we need to work on. That's why I want to do a lesson on something like that as well. But listen, that might fall into Imago Dei, okay, next week. But listen, when you say, I'm not going to support you because you don't support me, and it could be nothing malicious. I just don't have a need for your product. But some people will say, I'm not going to support you because you're not supporting me. But then you go and support another person that's outside of your race or outside of your group or whatever, and that person doesn't serve you either. That person that could care less about you either. That person really has a black heart, and they're all about programs and policies and laws to keep you down, to keep their foot on your neck. But it's so ironic that because people, you might not be totally black-hearted, but you have some of that black-heartedness in you. You have some of that hate, some of that jealousy, some of that envy. And you have an opportunity to empower your brother, to help your community by building that synergy. But you won't, because either you don't have and you don't want anybody else to have. You don't want to learn how to have because you're lazy and you're slothful. You want to make excuses instead of making progress, instead of making change, instead of making stuff happen. Just like last week, you're using your energy in the wrong way to make excuses, to point blame, to say that this person's Uncle Tom because they have a white pastor or because they have white friends who have a pure heart and who will help them in a minute, okay? But because we spend so much energy on the wrong thing, on sticking together with people who couldn't care less, they care the least amount possible about you thriving and you being green. There are people that are committed to your downfall, committed to you not growing, committed to you not having a green life, but having a black life. And I'm not talking about the Black Lives Matter here, but having black, when the blood and the circulation and the life leaves out of a plant, leaves out of a cell, it turns black. Okay, that's the color black. That's why I'm saying don't refer to yourself as black or African American, or you're beautiful brown, right? You're brown. Those are the real colors. And yes, I think it is a psychological thing that I learned, in that African American Studies class at Spelman, that yes, they gave us the colors black and white because in the dictionary, black says ugly, dirty, dark, soiled, and that kind of stuff. White says pure, this, and so we're not even black, okay? But when you look at the reality of it, and nobody can do this, only God did this, okay? This is not putting words in a dictionary and calling people black, okay? We're not black, we're brown, we're bronze, okay? And so we cannot argue with the facts. When a sore, when blood leaves out of something and it's not circulating, whatever your finger, whatever turns black, all right, that's no growth, it's no life. That when a person is black-hearted, they're not growing, they're not producing. That's when black matters. You want to disassociate yourself from people who are black-hearted, who have no desire to grow, no desire to produce, no desire to help other people grow. But green lives is what's matter. When you're producing, you're eating, producing enough so that you can eat well, and you're helping other people eat well. You have a cup that runs over, because your cup being filled is just enough for you and your family to eat. But the runneth over part is what provides for other people. The runneth over part, okay? The runneth over part is what provides for other people. And so I'm gonna make sure I hit everything that I did. But yes, my pastor's white, okay? And he's led of God. He's a green pastor, okay? He's not white. He's a peach guy, okay? He's peach because I'm not black, I'm brown. My pastor's peach. He's Caucasian. But so far, he's been the most passionate, the most loving, the most caring, the most productive, the best teaching leader that I've ever had. Okay, and to that I want to say attaboy to my pastor. I'll call his name out. The pastor of Victory of Albany, Pastor Eddie Adams. Our associate pastor, Pastor Dennis Eccles, he's black. And like I said, this guy sent this, and he was like, "Yeah, what do you think about this? That what's going on now? A lot of people's heart is going to be seen, and a lot of people who are in multiracial churches under white pastors, they're going to leave. A lot of black churches are going to go. Black members are going to go to black churches." I say it's fine because I know for a fact that where black matters, okay, my pastor is not black-hearted, okay? That's the only thing that matters. And so go back to that quote again, all right? On New Jack City, this guy was a drug kingpin. If you saw how crack ripped through cities and families, their kids, babies crying, the mothers doing whatever, and the guy said, I hope they kill your black-hearted, right? So black-hearted people, you got to stay away from them. It's not about whether they're your leaders and they're black, because like I said, it's not that I have a lot of white friends. I don't, okay? But I know that when it comes to certain things, when you need help, okay, when you need to produce, there are people who just want to talk, and their heart and their life is so black, as in not African American, but black as in dead and not producing, okay? I never ever, I used to, but I'm with that thing called crushing cliches. There are a lot of cliches, things we say and that we adopt and we say and repeat because it's catchy, or because by default, we've heard it for so many years after years after years. And it's really the power of words. I talk about affirmations in this book and in the Better Than Average Makeover Mindset course. There's a whole section on framing your world with words, how we so easily and so continuously, so consistently and faithfully, all right, disserve ourselves. We break down our work. We break down our worlds, and we underperform, and we put things in place around us because of what we speak. We have that power. We're Imago Dei, in the image of God. We speak things to make them happen. Okay, whatever we say happens, and so a lot of times we just hang on to things. Okay, and so like I said before, people say, you never go in business with your family. You never go in business with your friends. No, you don't go in business with black-hearted people. You go in business with friends who are good, who have green lives. I'm not talking about just green money. That comes after production. Green means fertile and growing and producing. Okay, green means go. In the society, we created green as the go light, right? But in earth, green means fertile. It means a rich land that flows with milk and honey. It's producing. And so you need to go with people with green lives and not people with black hearts. I'm not talking about brown skin, because we're not black anyway. Not black matters when you have to disassociate yourself from and discern. This is where it takes great discernment, where you got to stay prayed up and you got to ask God to lead you and show you people's heart.
because the guy, like I said, I don't know if he was trying to, take a shot at me, but we have pretty deep conversations. So I think he was just being honest to say, I want to know what you think about it because you go to a multi-racial church and your pastor's white or whatever. And so I was like, hey, I think it's true. There's a lot of things that are changing nowadays. And there may be white people that go to black churches and black people that leave white churches. But as for me, I know where I was led, and I know that I've seen my pastor's heart. Okay, I've seen my pastor's heart. And all you have to do is produce. You don't have to have all this rah-rah. You don't have to all the time be talking about Black Lives Matter. And this is me personally. You live like Black Lives Matter. What I do every day is empowering people's minds and elevating their lives. I'm writing books. I'm helping people to write books. As a matter of fact, one of the authors who just, Dr. Gwendolyn Baker Stevens Alpha, she's a retired educator, and she's talking about school politics and how she saw them tear some kids' lives apart, how it affected her, and telling parents how to watch out for that. So I'm giving her a shout out at a girl, how to help parents see that when it's coming and circumvent it so that their kids can still be successful. So I'm helping people write their story, and that's just one of the books that I've helped people write and publish. She wrote her own book. I helped her publish it. All right, but I've helped several people write and publish books with the Pages program, now with the Authority program. I have the Mindset Makeover course because I realize when people tell you, when you have family members and you have schools and you have neighborhoods of people that always told you white people are this and black people should do this and this kind of stuff. And a lot of times these are the same people, all the same people you do not want to take advice from. Okay, these are the same broke, busted, disgusted, miserable people medicating their feelings with drugs and alcohol and food and trying to give you advice about because you have a white friend or because you have a white pastor. Oh, the white man can't understand your struggles. Guess what? I'm not trying to understand my struggles. I'm getting over them, okay? I talk about solutions, not problems, okay? And so every day I'm teaching Black Lives Matter. Every day I'm teaching Green Lives Matter, okay? Get your weight up. It's no way to help poor people if you're one of them. You cannot be a John Rockefeller giving money to Laura Spelman Rockefeller, his wife, to give to Spelman College so I could go. You cannot be a Bill Gates doing the Gates Millennium Scholars, helping poor kids go to college and school. You cannot be an Oprah Winfrey building a school in Africa. You cannot be that if you have a black heart, okay? It's not about, black skin or brown skin, the black race. It's about having a black heart, okay? So listen, stop putting energy into the wrong things, okay? F-U and sugar, honey, iced tea, all those words are not curse words. Curse words are lazy, broke, give, free, can't, try, okay? All these words that let you off the hook from producing and being the excellent, productive capacity that God called you to be. Imago Dei, okay? In the image of God all day long, guys. And that's what we're talking about next week. Imago Dei. It'll probably be quite similar to what I did a couple weeks ago when I talked about, when God is mad at you for discrediting his name, for looking bad, for going out, with a busted hairstyle and saying, hey, God's my barber. Okay, and God's like, no, don't tell him I'm your barber. All right, listen. Share this video, like this video, and listen. I told you this. I put this up earlier in the week, okay? I put this up earlier in the week, and this is the kind of stuff I teach you about green lives, all right? I'm never going to. I thought of this. It came to me. I was led to I was given this, okay, about a week or so ago, okay? Well, no, a couple weeks ago. I said always give an offer at the end, even if it's just you can sign up for a free ebook or, a program that I have. I'm always going to give an offer because at the end of every church message, they're going to give you an offer to elevate your life, to come to Christ or to, to repent from something you've been doing, to just pray for an issue you're having, or pray for, higher elevation. So I'm always going to give an offer because everybody's not broke. Everybody doesn't have a black heart or a black mindset. And I'm not saying for people who just got on here, let me not say that. Everybody's not black-hearted. Okay, everybody's not poor, everybody's not broke, everybody's not afraid, and everybody is not poor as in P-O-O-R, passing on opportunities repeatedly. And guess what? There are plenty of people. I want to say thank you and attaboy, attagirl for people who come on here and get this content because you still have to invest something to be on here. This is your precious time. So I'm not saying just because you don't purchase a book or get into a course or whatever, that it may not be the time for you. But I'm saying, so I want to say thank you to everyone who's on here consistently, faithfully, whether you purchase something or not. It still takes an investment for you to use time to be on here because a lot of people are spending time watching Empire, okay, while I'm building an empire and helping other people build empires, right? And so I want to say attaboy, attagirl, this is not a shot at you. There are some people who say, listen, Everything she tells me to do, I'm doing it. I'm writing in my journal. This is nuggets, and I'm spending time that I could be watching TV or scrolling Facebook for some other garbage. So I want to say attaboy, attagirl there to you. But there are some people who are VIPs, meaning they're in very intense pursuit. They want everything you have to offer. There are some people that say, listen, Victoria, I'm with you. I know that you're anointed by God. I know the results. I've seen people you work with. I've seen the books you published and helped other people publish. I've seen people who have I saw that you retired at 35 doing the options trading and stock trading. I see that you help this. And just the words that you say are things that are opening up my eyes. Some of the best compensation I get as an educator, when I was a classroom teacher and what I do now here, and my courses and things, is when people come to me and say, you changed my life. When people come to me in tears, when people send me information and say, you're changing my life. Hey, listen, is there anything else you have? Can I get in another program? And so, like I said, attaboy, attagirl to everyone who's on here. And even if you never buy a book, I'm still blessed because you're helping me. I'm helping you empower your mind and elevate your life. God has allowed me to lead and feed you, and I'm grateful for that. But for the people who want to level up even more, okay, the Better Than Average book, okay, it's only $19.99. As a matter of fact, I might be about out of copies. So I might have a few copies I can autograph and get one over to you to get you to start thinking about stuff like I'm talking about now. How to stop thinking like most people think. That, if you're black, white is bad and all white people are out to get you, and white people, yes, there are some slimy, crimey, hateful, racist, black-hearted white people that I've seen. And guess what? I've seen the same in black people as well, okay? Seen the same people that I would not want to be in business with. I would not want to, yes, I will go into business with my family, the right person in my family, the person with a green life, a green heart, okay? And so most people don't think like that. Most people just take it for face value and say, okay, you need to jump on here and say something about Black Lives Matter and this kind of stuff. No, when God gave me a teachable truth to share with this, which is a lesson that's a little deeper, because I'm not a thermometer. The environment doesn't affect me. I teach what I teach every day, which is about empowering your mind, elevating your life, being allergic to the average, achieving triumph through anything. All right. I teach this stuff every day, escaping mediocrity, escaping average and below average. I teach this every day. And so it translates into that. I don't have to, and one of my first spiritual fathers taught me that. You don't have to teach your father something specific to fathers on Father's Day. You teach principles which are universal, and that's why you have rappers and gang members who capitalize on the principles of God, because they're natural principles. If you apply them, they're going to work. And so that's why I love what I do. That's why I have the book Better Than Average. That's why I have the course Better Than Average Mindset Makeover. 4 weeks of getting you to unlearn foolishness like this type of stuff right here that, oh, you got a white pastor, what's wrong with you? Okay. It's foolishness. Okay. And so I have the course, the 4-week course. It's 4 weeks. It's online platform. I give you directives every module and tell you what to do to make sure this stuff works for you. Okay. And so that course, I'm going to put the link up to that. If you want to get in that course, you can get into it. And right now I'm doing a thing. If you get in the course, you'll get into our mastermind, which is a monthly subscription, but you won't have to pay that monthly subscription to get on the call with millionaires and 6-figure earners and other people who are like you as well, who are trying to get, or who are getting there. You haven't quite gotten there, but I'll bring in some experts. I give you stuff that I learned that helped me to leverage my business up and helped me to learn how to do some things that really opened some doors for me and allowed me to retire at 35 and just empower millions of people across the world, which is what I'm doing now. So if you want to get the book, you want to start there before you get in the course, you can do that. This book is only $19.99. And the course itself, for 4-week course, well, about 4.5, because I put a little bonus on there, and a 3-month subscription to the Wealthy and Free Young Retirees Mastermind Call, which is about a $93 value because it's about $31 a month. All that, it's like $197 to get into that course. Listen, now is the time to be learning and growing. It's an information age. We have plenty of time. I think that a lot of stuff we thought we were getting back in the swing of things, but I think it's about to slow back down again because, things are surging. But listen, okay, the only time black matters is when you're dealing with black-hearted people. Okay, and they can be any color, skin, they can be any race. I want you to know that you can learn your way out of every situation and on to any destination. Okay, you can achieve triumph through anything. All right, and so I need you to do that. You've been through too much to be average. I'm going to put 2 links up right now. Okay, 2 links up right now in the comments. The first one will be for the book if you want to get the book. The second one will be if you want to get the course. If you want to get the course, both of those are great deals. I want to say thank you for being on here tonight. I want to say attaboy, attagirl. All right. Welcome to the top and Imago Dei. All right. Have a great night, a wonderful life. Imago Dei. And I'm about to put the links up. in the comments for the book. The first one will be the book, and then the second one will be the course. All right.